Aunt Margaret's birthday was excellent. And your 70th birthday party, Mom. Liam looked at me from across the table with a genuine smile. We were having Christmas dinner. The whole family was gathered. My son held his wine glass, relaxed, happy. Beside him, Victoria was carving the turkey with precise movements. The kids were playing on the rug. The Christmas tree lights glowed softly. I set my fork down on the plate. It's already over, son. There was a brief silence. Liam furrowed his brow. What do you mean it's already over? When was it? 3 weeks ago. I watched his confusion grow. He lowered his glass slowly. Mom, I didn't go to any party of yours. Why didn't you invite me? I took a deep breath. I knew this moment would come. I had planned it carefully. I did invite you, Liam. I sent printed invitations to the whole family. Victoria stopped carving the turkey. Her hand paused in the air for a second. Then she continued as if nothing had happened. But I had seen it. That little tremor, that instant of panic. Eleanor, I think you're confused, she said with a soft voice. No one here received any invitation. If we had, we obviously would have gone. She looked at me with that expression of concern she always used, that perfect mask she had worn for years. Liam was watching me, waiting for an explanation. The aunts who had come in from the city exchanged uncomfortable glances. I reached for my purse. I pulled out a manila envelope. I placed it on the table calmly. I have the delivery confirmations. Victoria's face changed. Just for a second. But it was enough. I opened the envelope and took out the documents from the United States Postal Service. One by one. Liam reached out, and I handed him the first one. Invitation for Liam Miller and family. Delivered on October 12th at 10:15 in the morning. He read the paper. I saw his eyes stop at the signature at the bottom of the document. Victoria's signature. Invitation for Margaret Foster, delivered on October 13th. Signed by Victoria Miller, who claimed to be an authorized family member. I passed him the second document, then the third. The fourth. Every envelope I had sent. All received. All signed for by the same person. Liam looked at the papers as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Then he looked at his wife. Victoria, you received these envelopes. She opened her mouth, closed it. Her hands were trembling slightly. Liam, let me explain. You received the invitations for my mother's party and didn't tell me anything. His voice was low but hard. Victoria stammered. I just thought that it would be better if... Liam, you have to understand me. Better for whom? She stood up. Tears began to fall down her cheeks. It's always her. It's always your mother. She just wants attention. Don't you see? We have our own life. I remained seated. Still, watching the truth come to light after being hidden in the dark for so long. Liam stood up too. He looked at Victoria as if he were seeing her for the first time. Why did you sign for the invitations if you didn't plan to deliver them? She took a step back. 2. Her back touched the wall. Because she always manipulates you. She always wants more. I just wanted to protect you. Protect me from my own mother? From the woman who raised me alone? I had waited for this moment for 3 weeks. Since that afternoon of my birthday, when I sat alone in my small living room, when I cut the cake alone, when I cried alone. But now I wasn't crying. I felt only a deep calm. Now it's clear who did this on purpose, I said in a low voice. The aunts began to gather their things in silence. One touched my shoulder as she passed. The children were crying, frightened by the shouting. Victoria ran toward them, trying to escape the stairs. Liam let himself fall into his chair. He put his hands over his face, and I was still there, sitting, watching my family crumble in front of me. But I didn't feel sadness. Not yet, because this was just beginning. I had kept silent for too long. I had swallowed humiliations. I had accepted excuses. I had pretended I didn't see the signs. But that night, with the documents on the table and the truth floating in the air like smoke, something changed inside me. Victoria was sobbing, hugging the children. Liam still had his head in his hands. The aunts had already left. The house was left in a heavy silence, interrupted only by the weeping. I stood up slowly. I took my coat from the rack. I'm going home. Liam looked up. His eyes were red. "Mom, wait. We need to talk about this. I need to understand what happened." "You already understand everything, son. The proof is right there on the table." "But Mom." "Not tonight, Liam. I'm tired." And it was true. I was tired. I had been tired for years, but it was a different kind of tired now. I no longer carried the weight of doubt. I no longer wondered if I was imagining things. I no longer blamed myself for my son's distance. I walked toward the door. Victoria looked at me from the floor where she was still hugging the kids. Her eyes no longer showed victim tears. They showed rage, fear, hate. "This isn't going to stay like this," she murmured in a hoarse voice. I stopped. I turned to look at her. "You're right. It's not going to stay like this." I walked out of that house. The cold December air hit my face. I walked slowly down the street to where I had parked my old car. I sat behind the wheel but didn't start the engine immediately. I just stayed there, breathing, feeling. I had spent my 70th birthday completely alone. I had cried until I ran out of tears. I had questioned every decision I made as a mother. I had wondered what I had done wrong to deserve such neglect. But now I knew the truth. It hadn't been neglect. It had been sabotage. And that truth, although painful, was also liberating, because it meant I wasn't crazy, that I hadn't failed, that the love I gave my son his entire life hadn't been in vain. It had just been blocked, diverted, stolen. I started the engine. I drove back to my small apartment in silence. I parked. I walked up the stairs. I opened the door, turned on the light. Everything was as I had left it. Clean, tidy, empty. I made myself some tea. I sat in my armchair by the window. I looked at the city lights shining in the darkness. And then, for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Because there was something Victoria didn't know. Something Liam didn't know. Something no one knew except me. That confrontation tonight wasn't the end. It was barely the beginning. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay awake in my bed staring at the ceiling. Shadows moved slowly with every car that passed on the street. The clock on the nightstand read 3 in the morning, then 4, then 5. I didn't sleep because my mind was traveling backward, toward the years that built this moment, toward the little signs I ignored, toward the excuses I accepted without question. How had I gotten here? I closed my eyes and went back to the beginning, to the day I met Victoria. Liam was 34. He had been working for 2 years at that tech company downtown. He was earning good money. He lived alone in a small but comfortable apartment. He was a good son. He called me every week. He came to lunch on Sundays. He asked how I was. He told me about his work. One Sunday he arrived with her. "Mom, I want to introduce you to someone. This is Victoria." I remember her perfectly. A cream-colored dress, high heels, dark hair styled in perfect waves, a bright smile, soft hands that had never known hard work. "So nice to meet you, Mrs. Miller. Liam has told me so much about you." Her voice was sweet. Her manners were impeccable. She hugged me carefully, as if I were a fragile piece of porcelain. During that lunch, she spoke little, listened a lot, smiled at the right moments, praised my food, asked about the photos on the mantelpiece. "Is this Liam as a boy? How beautiful he was." "Well, he's still beautiful." She laughed softly. Liam blushed. I felt relieved. Because my son had found someone. Because after so many years alone, he finally had company. When they left that afternoon, Liam hugged me at the door. "You liked her, Mom. She seems like a good girl." "She is. She's incredible. I think she's the one." And I wanted to believe it. I wanted to believe my son had found his person, that he would be happy, that I could finally rest knowing someone else would take care of him when I was no longer here. But the signs started early. So early that now, looking back, I wonder how I didn't see them. The first was subtle. 2 weeks after that lunch, I called Liam on a Tuesday night. I needed to ask him for help with a leaky pipe in the kitchen. He had always been good at fixing things. "Sure, Mom. I'll come Saturday morning." "Thanks, son. You don't have to bring tools. Your fathers are here." "Perfect. See you Saturday." On Saturday, I waited. I made coffee. I bought pastries from that bakery he liked. 9 in the morning passed. 10. 11. At noon I called. Liam? Are you okay? Mom, forgive me. I completely forgot. Victoria and I went to look at some furniture for her apartment. I'm just seeing your missed call. Don't worry, son. You can come tomorrow. It's just that tomorrow we have a dinner with her parents. Maybe next week. Sure, no problem. I hung up. I looked at the pipe that was still dripping. I called a plumber. It cost me $150. Money I didn't have to spare from my pension. But I didn't say anything to Liam. I didn't want to be that complaining mother. That mother who lays guilt trips. The second sign came a month later. I got sick. A bad flu that left me in bed with a high fever. I called Liam on a Thursday night because I couldn't get up to make myself something to eat. Mom, are you okay? You sound terrible. I have a fever. I haven't been able to get out of bed in 2 days. Did you go to the doctor? I haven't been able to go. I feel very weak. Silence. I heard him talking to someone in the background. Muffled words. Then he came back. Mom, Victoria says there's an urgent care clinic near your house. Do you want me to call you an Uber? Liam, I can't even stand up. I need you to come. More silence. More voices in the background. It's just that we're in the middle of a dinner with some important clients of Victoria's. She's closing a big contract. I can't leave now. Can it wait until tomorrow? Something broke inside me in that moment. Something small but important. It's fine, son. Until tomorrow. I love you, Mom. Get some rest. I hung up. I stared at the phone. Then I dialed another number. Betty, my neighbor, my friend since childhood. Eleanor, what happened? I'm sick. I need help. I'm on my way. Betty arrived in 10 minutes. She made me soup. She gave me medicine. She stayed with me that night, sleeping on the couch in case I needed anything. She didn't charge me anything. She didn't make me feel guilty. She was just there. Liam arrived the next day at noon. He brought flowers. Mom, forgive me for not coming last night. The dinner went longer than expected. How do you feel? Better. Betty took care of me. That's good that she was here. Did you eat? Yes. Perfect. Then I can leave with peace of mind. I have to take Victoria to an appointment she has. I'll call you tomorrow. He left. The flowers wilted in the vase a week later. He never called the next day. The months passed. The signs became more frequent, more obvious. The Sundays he used to come for lunch began to get spaced out. First every 2 weeks, then once a month, then only on special occasions. Mom, it's just that Sundays are the only day Victoria and I can do things together. Of course, son. I understand. The weekly calls became bi-weekly, then monthly. Mom, sorry for not calling. Work is killing me. Victoria and I barely see each other. Don't worry. I know you're busy. Then came the engagement. Liam arrived one Saturday radiant with happiness. Mom, I proposed to Victoria. She said yes. I hugged him. I congratulated him. I cried tears of joy with him. Because that is what mothers do. They celebrate their children's happiness, even if inside they feel a growing void. When is the wedding? In 6 months. It's going to be something intimate, just close family. Victoria wants it to be elegant, but not exaggerated. I would love to help with whatever you need. Thanks, Mom. Victoria already has everything under control. She's very organized. They didn't ask me for help with anything. Not with the invitations. Not with the decorations. Not with the food. Victoria had a wedding planner. Victoria had clear ideas. Victoria had everything under control. I just received my invitation in the mail like any other guest. The wedding was beautiful, expensive. Liam looked happy in his dark gray suit. Victoria was stunning in a dress that probably cost more than $3,000. I sat in the second row, not in the first. The first was for Victoria's parents and some important uncles of hers. It's just that there are more of them. Mom, do you understand? I understood. I understood that I was being displaced. But I still didn't want to see it. I still didn't want to accept it. After the wedding, things got worse. Liam and Victoria bought a house. Big. Pretty. In an exclusive neighborhood on the north side of the city. They invited me to the housewarming. I arrived with a cake I had baked myself. Mom, thanks. But Victoria already ordered pastries from a French bakery. Better keep this for yourself. I stayed 2 hours at that party full of people I didn't know. No one talked to me. Liam was busy showing the house. Victoria was busy being the perfect hostess. I left without saying goodbye. No one noticed my absence. Then the first grandson arrived. Mason, beautiful, perfect, with Liam's eyes and Victoria's nose. I went to the hospital as soon as Liam let me know. Mom, meet your grandson. I held him. I cried. I felt my heart explode with love. This little being was the continuation of my blood, of my family, of everything I had built. Can I come tomorrow to help you, Victoria? I know the first few days are hard. She smiled at me from the hospital bed. She was pale but beautiful. Thanks, Eleanor. But my mom is already going to stay with us for the first 2 weeks. We'll see later. We'll see later never arrived. Victoria's mom installed herself in the house. Then a nanny arrived. Then another. I went to visit once every 2 weeks if I was lucky. 30 minutes, an hour maximum. Mom, it's just that Mason has his routine. We can't alter it much. When Mason turned 1, they didn't invite me to the party. I found out through photos on social media. A huge party with clowns. Themed decoration. Dozens of children. Mom, sorry. I thought Victoria had told you. It was a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was intentional. But I still didn't want to see it. Then Caleb was born. The second grandson. I repeated the same pattern. Hospital. Short visits. Growing distance. And so 8 years passed. 8 years of excuses. 8 years of forgetfulness. 8 years of feeling increasingly invisible in my own son's life, until my 70th birthday arrived. I decided my 70th birthday would be different. It wasn't going to be just another date passing in silence. It wasn't going to be another year where I settled for a quick call from Liam and a happy birthday. Mom, love you, said hurriedly between meetings. 70 years was important. It was a milestone, an achievement. I had survived my husband's death. I had raised my son alone. I had worked until my body gave out. I had built a life with dignity and effort. I deserved to celebrate it. 2 months before the date, in August, I started planning. Nothing ostentatious. I didn't have money for that. But something nice, something memorable. A gathering in my apartment with the family. Home-cooked food, music, laughter, photos I could keep and look at when I felt lonely. I went to a small print shop downtown. The owner was an older gentleman who reminded me of my late husband. I want to get invitations made. For my birthday. How many do you need? I counted mentally. Liam and his family. My 2 sisters, Margaret and Susan. Some cousins. Betty, of course. 15 invitations. What design do you want? I chose something simple. Ivory cardstock, gold lettering, my name, the date, the time, the address. A phrase I liked. Let's celebrate 7 decades of life and love together. It cost me $100. Money I took from my savings. Money I had kept for emergencies. But this was important. This was for me. The invitations turned out beautiful. I picked them up a week later. I touched them carefully, as if they were something sacred. Then I put them in envelopes. I wrote the names with my best handwriting. I put the addresses on. I went personally to the post office. I paid for certified mail, the most expensive kind, the kind that requires a signature from the recipient, because I wanted to be sure they arrived. I wanted proof that I had sent them. The postal clerk looked at me with curiosity. These envelopes are important, very important. Then I'll give you the receipts with tracking numbers, so you can track them. Thank you. I kept those receipts in a manila folder. I put them in my desk drawer. I didn't know why I felt I would need them. It was just intuition, a little voice in my head saying, keep them safe. The envelopes went out on October 12th. My birthday was November 2nd. There was enough time for everyone to receive them and confirm their attendance. I waited. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. No one called, no one confirmed, no one said anything. I called Liam on a Tuesday night. Son, did you get my invitation? What invitation, Mom? For my birthday. I sent it 3 weeks ago. No, I haven't received anything. You sent it by mail? Yes, certified mail. How strange. Nothing has arrived here. But anyway, when is your birthday? November 2nd. It's a Saturday. Ah, perfect. We'll be there. What time? At 4 in the afternoon. Got it. I'll tell Victoria. Love you, Mom. He hung up fast. Like always. But at least he had confirmed. At least he would come. I called my sisters. Margaret hadn't received anything either, Susan neither. I gave them the information over the phone. They said they would try to go. They didn't sound very convinced. But at least they said it. The days passed. October left. November arrived. The day arrived. On November 2nd, I woke up early. I showered. I put on my best dress, olive green. The one I had bought on sale 2 years ago and never worn because I didn't have a special occasion. Now I had a special occasion. I cleaned the apartment until everything shined. I moved the furniture to make space. I hung some simple decorations I bought at the dollar store. Gold balloons. A sign that said, "Happy Birthday." I went to the market and bought ingredients, chicken, rice, vegetables, flour to make the cake. I couldn't afford a bakery one, so I would make it myself, as I had always done. I cooked all morning, the apartment filled with rich smells. Stewed chicken with potatoes, rice with vegetables, fresh salad, and the cake. A vanilla cake with chocolate frosting. Simple but made with love. I set the table. I took out the good plates, the ones I only used at Christmas. The crystal glasses that were a wedding gift. The silverware I had polished until it gleamed. I bought flowers. A small bouquet of white daisies. I put them in the center of the table in a vase that had been my mother's. By 3 in the afternoon, everything was ready. The apartment looked beautiful. The food was hot. I was dressed and ready. I had put on a little makeup. I had combed my hair carefully. I sat on the sofa and waited. 4 o'clock arrived. No one knocked on the door. 4:30. Silence. 5 o'clock. Nothing. Maybe they were running late. Maybe there was traffic. Maybe Liam had confused the time. 5:30, 6 o'clock. I called Liam. He didn't answer. I called again. Voicemail. Son, I'm waiting for you all. Are you on your way? I called Margaret. She didn't answer either. 6:30. 7 o'clock. The chicken was getting cold. The cake remained intact on the table. The candles remained unlit. At 8 o'clock at night, I realized the truth. No one was coming. I remained seated on the sofa looking at the set table. The empty plates. The empty chairs. The decorations hanging sadly from the walls. 70 years. Alone. I stood up slowly. I went to the kitchen. I cut a slice of cake. I put a candle on it. I lit it with trembling hands. I sang Happy Birthday to myself. My voice sounded strange in the silence of the apartment. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, Eleanor. Happy birthday to me. I blew out the candle. The smoke spiraled up toward the ceiling. I made a wish. A stupid wish I knew wouldn't come true. That someone would remember me. I ate the slice of cake standing in the kitchen. It tasted like cardboard, like ash, like nothing. Then I cried. I cried like I hadn't cried since my husband's funeral. I cried until there were no more tears left. I cried until my body ached. I cried until the night grew darker and the apartment colder. I fell asleep on the sofa. I woke up at 3 in the morning with a sore neck. The food was still on the table. The decorations were still hanging. Everything seemed like a mockery. On Sunday morning, Liam called. Mom, forgive me. Yesterday, we were invited to Victoria's parents' house last minute, and I completely forgot it was your birthday. How was it? I forgot. 2 words that fell like stones on my chest. I had a good time, son. Don't worry. That's good. Hey, I'll make it up to you. How about we go to lunch next week? Whatever you want. Perfect. I'll call you to confirm. Love you. He hung up. I stared at the phone. Then I looked at the leftover food. Then I looked at the mail receipts I had kept in the drawer. Something inside me changed in that moment. It wasn't rage. Not yet. It was something colder, more calculated. It was the clear sensation that something wasn't right, that this hadn't been forgetfulness, that there was something deeper happening. I took the receipts. I went to the USPS website. I entered the tracking numbers one by one. They all said the same thing. Delivered. Signed for by recipient. Delivered. All of them. Each of the 15 envelopes had been delivered and signed for. I looked for more information. I clicked on details. The delivery date appeared, the time, and the name of who signed. Envelope for Liam Miller. Delivered October 14th, 10:15 a.m. Signed by V. Miller. Envelope for Margaret Foster. Delivered October 15th, 3 p.m. Signed by V. Miller. Envelope for Susan Stevens. Delivered October 16th, 11:30 a.m. Signed by V. Miller. Victoria Miller. My daughter-in-law. She had signed for all the invitations. All of them. Not just the one for her house. Also the ones for my sisters. The ones for my cousins. She had been waiting for the deliveries. She had intercepted the envelopes. She had hidden them. She had destroyed them. And no one had known about my party. I sat at the desk with the printed receipts in front of me. I read them over and over, as if repetition would change what they said. But they didn't change. The truth was there, clear, undeniable. Victoria had sabotaged me, intentionally, with premeditation, with cruelty. Why? What had I done to deserve this? What threat did a 70-year-old woman represent to her? What was I taking from her that she hated me so much? I thought about every interaction we had had, about every sweet smile, about every superficial hug, about every "Oh, Eleanor, so nice to see you," said with that sugary voice. It had all been fake, every gesture, every word, everything. I stood up. I kept the receipts in a folder. I put them in a safe place. Because I knew I would need them. I knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something. I didn't call Liam to confront him. I didn't call Victoria to scream at her. I didn't call anyone. I just stayed still, observing, thinking, planning. Because I had learned something in 70 years of life. Revenge served hot only burns the one who serves it. But revenge served cold, that can change everything. The days after my birthday passed slow and heavy like stones. I didn't say anything to anyone about what I had discovered. Not to Liam. Not to my sisters. Not even to Betty. I kept the receipts in that manila folder and hid it in the back of my closet, behind the old boxes, behind the winter clothes I no longer used. I needed time to think, to understand, to decide what to do, because something had changed inside me since that lonely birthday night. I was no longer the same woman who accepted excuses without question. I was no longer the mother who settled for crumbs of attention. I was no longer the grandmother who smiled when they closed the door in her face. Something had broken, and in its place, something new had been born. Something cold and calculating I never knew I carried inside. The following week, Liam called as he had promised. "Mom, how about we go to lunch on Sunday, to make up for your birthday? Sounds good, son." "Perfect. I'll pick you up at 12. Are Victoria and the kids coming?" "No, just me. Victoria has a lunch with her friends, and the kids are going to be with the nanny." "Better. That way I could observe him well. That way I could ask him questions without her being there controlling every word that came out of his mouth." Sunday arrived promptly. He rang the doorbell of my apartment exactly at 12. I went down and found him waiting by his car. A new car, silver, shiny. Probably cost more than $50,000. "Hi, Mom. You look good." He hugged me. He smelled of expensive cologne. He wore casual but designer clothes, jeans that cost more than my monthly rent. A crisp white shirt. "Hi, son." We got into the car. The seats were soft leather. Everything was electronic. Screens everywhere. I felt old inside there, out of place. "Where do you want to go?" "Wherever you want. There's a new Italian restaurant Victoria loves." "Sound good?" "That's fine." He drove through the city. He talked about his work, about a new project, about an important client, about a presentation he had to make. I nodded. I asked the right questions at the right moments. But my mind was elsewhere. We arrived at the restaurant. It was elegant. White tablecloths, waiters with black vests, prices that would have given me a heart attack if I had to pay. Order whatever you want, Mom. I'm treating. I ordered the cheapest thing on the menu, pasta with tomato sauce. He ordered a steak cut that cost $45, red wine, bread with olive oil. We ate in silence for a while. Then I decided to start. Liam, can I ask you something? Sure, Mom. Whatever you want. The invitations I sent for my birthday. Really, nothing ever arrived at your house? I saw his face change, just a little, a small tension around the eyes. No, Mom. I already told you nothing arrived. Maybe there was a problem with the mail. I paid for certified mail, with signature required. Well, maybe the nanny signed. Or someone else. And then it got lost inside the house. You know how it is. So much mail arrives. Bills. Junk mail. Packages. I nodded. I cut a piece of pasta. I brought it to my mouth. I chewed slowly. How is Victoria? Good. Busy as always. She's working on a big project with a new client. A cosmetics company. If it goes well, she could earn a commission of over $20,000. That's great. Yes. She's very good at what she does. Very dedicated. He took a sip of wine. I drank water. And the kids? They're big. Mason is already in 3rd grade. Caleb in 1st. Time flies. I would like to see them more often. There was a silence. Liam left his fork on the plate. Mom, we've already talked about this. The kids have a lot of activities. Soccer, swimming, tutoring. The weekends are packed. I could go during the week. After school. It's complicated. Victoria has everything very organized. Routines are important for the kids. 1 hour. Just 1 hour a week. I'll think about it, Mom. But I don't promise you anything. We kept eating. The air between us had become dense. Uncomfortable. As it always happened when I tried to ask him for something more. Something he wasn't willing to give. After lunch, he took me back to my apartment. He hugged me at the door. Thanks for joining me, Mom. I had a good time. Me too, son. I love you. I love you too. I'll call you soon. He left. I went up to my apartment. I took off my shoes. I sat on the sofa. And then I knew what I had to do. I couldn't go on like this. I couldn't keep being the silent victim. I couldn't keep accepting lies and excuses and crumbs of love. I needed answers. I needed proof. I needed to know exactly what was happening, how long it had been happening, and how far the betrayal went. The next day I went to the bank. I took $500 from my savings. It was money I had saved for emergencies, for medicine, for repairs. But this was a different type of emergency. I searched online. Private detective, city, affordable. Several names appeared. I called the first one. Too expensive. $2,000 up front. I called the second. $1,500. The third answered with a tired voice. Fisher Investigations. How can I help you? I need to hire a detective. For what type of case? I need you to investigate someone. See what she is doing. Who she talks to. Where she goes. Is it your husband? No, it's my daughter-in-law. There was a silence. That's unusual. May I ask why? She is distancing my son from me. I need to know what else she is doing. I need proof. I understand. Look, I charge $300 for 3 days of basic surveillance. Photos, videos if possible. A written report of everything observed. That's fine. When can you start? Send me the information by email. Full name, address, photos if you have them, description of the car, approximate schedules, and a deposit of $150. How do I pay you? Bank transfer. I'll send you the details. I hung up. My hands were trembling. What was I doing? What had I become? A 70-year-old woman hiring detectives to spy on her own family. But I didn't stop. I searched social media. I found Victoria's profile. Public. full of perfect photos. Her life filtered and edited to look like a fairy tale. I saved several photos. I sent them by email to the detective along with all the information I had. Her home address, make and color of her car, times she usually left, the name of the company where she worked. I made the transfer. $150, half of what I had taken from the bank. 3 days later, I received an email. Mrs. Miller. Attached is the surveillance report and photographic material. The rest of the payment can be made to the same account. I opened the files with my heart pounding. The report was simple, written in direct, emotionless language. Day 1. Monday. The subject left her house at 8:30 a.m. Dropped the children at school. Went to a coffee shop downtown where she met with 2 women. Conversation lasted 1 hour, then went to the supermarket. Returned home at 12 noon. Did not leave again until 3 p.m. to pick up the children. Took the oldest to swimming lessons, the youngest to music lessons. Returned home at 6 p.m. Nothing interesting there. I kept reading. Day 2, Tuesday. The subject left her house at 9 a.m. after dropping off the children. Went to the post office. Was there 20 minutes. Came out with a mail bag. Went directly to a public dumpster 3 blocks away. Threw away the bag. Left. I stopped. I read that part again. Post office. Mail bag. Dumpster. She kept intercepting my mail. She kept stealing what I sent. And she threw it away. As if it were trash. As if I were trash. I kept reading with clenched hands. Day 3. Wednesday. The subject left early, 7:45 a.m., before taking the children. Went to a cafe. Met with a man. Intimate conversation. Lasted 45 minutes. See attached photos. I opened the photos. They were grainy but clear. Victoria sitting across from a man who wasn't Liam, holding hands across the table. Smiling. Laughing. More photos. Them leaving the cafe. Him touching her waist. Her looking at him in that way. That way I recognize because I looked at my husband like that once. The last photo. The 2 of them next to his car. Kissing. I stared at the screen without breathing. Victoria was cheating on my son, the woman who had distanced me from Liam, who had sabotaged my birthday, who had stolen years of my life with my grandchildren. That woman was kissing another man in a parking lot while my son worked to support her. Something hot rose in my chest. It wasn't pain. It was rage. Pure, burning rage like I had never felt. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't break anything. I just saved the photos. I printed the report. I put it in the folder next to the mail receipts. And I started to plan. I spent the next few days in silence. I didn't call Liam. I didn't look for Victoria. I didn't tell anyone about what I had discovered. I just stayed in my apartment organizing the evidence. Looking at it over and over. Making sure it was real. That I wasn't imagining things. But I wasn't imagining anything. It was all there, black on white, pixel after pixel. The mail receipts that proved the sabotage of my birthday, the photos that proved the infidelity, the detective's report that connected everything. Victoria Miller, my perfect daughter-in-law, the woman Liam loved, the mother of my grandchildren. She was a liar, a manipulator, a traitor. But the initial rage had given way to something colder, more calculated. Because shouting the truth from the rooftops wouldn't give me what I needed. Confronting her in private would only give her time to invent excuses. To flip the story. To make me look like the crazy, resentful mother-in-law. No, I needed a plan. I needed a moment. I needed everyone to see it at the same time, with no possible escape. I sat at my desk with a notebook and a pencil. I started writing. Objective: expose Victoria in front of the whole family. Prove what she has done. Get my son back. How? I need a gathering. An event where everyone is present. Where she can't escape. Where the evidence speaks for itself. When? Soon. Before she suspects anything. Before she changes her patterns. Before she destroys more evidence. I thought about the options. A dinner. A lunch. Someone's birthday. Christmas. Christmas. It was perfect. 6 weeks away. December 25th. The family always gathered at Liam's house. Victoria organized everything. She cooked. She decorated. She played the perfect hostess. This year I would be there too, but not as the ignored guest, as the protagonist of my own story. I needed more proof. Irrefutable proof. Something Victoria couldn't deny even if she wanted to. I called the detective again. Fisher Investigations. This is Eleanor Miller. I hired your services last week. Ah, yes, the daughter-in-law, lady. Did you receive the report? Yes. I need more. Much more. What do you need specifically? I want you to follow her for a full month. Document everything. Her routines. Her lies. Her meetings with that man. I need video. I need audio if possible. I need proof that leaves no room for doubt. That's going to cost more. A month of intensive surveillance. We're talking about $2,000 minimum. $2,000. It was almost everything I had left in savings. It was the money for medical emergencies, for urgent repairs, to survive if something went wrong. But this was more important. This was getting my son back, recovering my dignity, recovering the years they had stolen from me. That's fine. Can I pay it in 2 parts? 1,000 now. 1,000 when the final report is delivered. Agreed. I went to the bank that same afternoon. I withdrew $1,000. I transferred it. I felt as if I were betting everything on a single hand. But there was no turning back. While the detective worked, I worked too. I called Liam a week later. Casual. As if nothing was wrong. Son, do you have plans for Christmas yet? Yes, Mom. Like always. Dinner at the house. Why? Just asking. I suppose I'll be invited. Of course. We always invite you. Lie. Last year, I found out about the dinner through Margaret. No one had called me until the 24th at night, a last-minute invitation, an uncomfortable obligation. Are you going to invite my sisters too? I'd have to ask Victoria. She organizes everything. Tell her I'd like them to be there. It's been a long time since we spent Christmas all together. I'll tell her. I'll call you later. He didn't call later. But 2 days later, I received a text message. Mom, Victoria says yes, invite your sisters. Dinner is at 7 p.m. on the 25th. Perfect. Everyone would be there. Liam, Victoria, the kids, my sisters, maybe some uncles. It was the perfect stage. Now I needed to prepare. I called Betty. I asked her to come to my apartment. When she arrived, I served her coffee and we sat at the kitchen table. Betty, I need your help. Whatever you need. Eleanor, you know you can count on me. I told her everything, every detail. The sabotaged birthday, the intercepted invitations, the detective's photos, the infidelity, everything. Betty listened in silence with her eyes growing wider. When I finished, she had tears rolling down her cheeks. That witch, that damn woman, how could she do this to you? I don't know, but she did. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows. What do you need me to do? I need you to come to Christmas dinner with me. As my guest, my support, just in case I need to leave quickly or if something goes wrong. Of course, I'll be there. And I need you to keep copies of all this evidence, in case Victoria tries to take it from me or destroy it. I'll guard them like gold. I gave her copies of everything. The receipts, the photos, the report. She put them in an envelope and kept it in her purse. Are you sure about this, Eleanor? Once you do it, there is no turning back. I'm sure. I have nothing left to lose. She already took everything from me. The days passed. November turned into December. The detective sent me weekly reports, each one more damning than the last. Victoria met with the man twice a week, always in different places. Cafe, restaurant, once at a hotel. The photos were clear. The videos were explicit. There was no way to deny what was happening. She also kept intercepting mail, not just mine. Also Margaret's, Susan's. Anything that arrived at her house with my name or my sister's names disappeared into the trash. The detective even managed to recover some envelopes from the dumpster. Birthday cards I had sent to the kids. They never received them. Victoria threw them away unopened. Each new piece of proof was a blow, but it was also fuel. It fed my determination. It reminded me why I was doing this. 2 weeks before Christmas, the detective called me. "Mrs. Miller, I have something interesting." "What is it?" "I managed to record a conversation between your daughter-in-law and that man. They were at a restaurant." My directional microphone picked up almost everything. "What did they say?" "She is complaining about her husband, says he is boring, that he only thinks about work, that he never does anything exciting. And then she says something about you." My blood ran cold. "What did she say about me?" "Wait, I have it here. Let me find the exact part." I heard rustling papers. Then his voice again. "Here it is. She says, and on top of that, I have to deal with his mother. That old hag doesn't get that she is no longer part of our lives. She keeps insisting. She keeps calling. I'm sick of her. I wish she would just die or leave us alone." The words fell like ice on my chest. "That old hag. I wish she would leave." "You have it recorded?" "Yes. Clear audio. I'm sending it to you by email, along with the final report." "Thank you." I hung up. I sat on the sofa staring at the wall. That old hag. Me who had carried Liam in my womb. Me who had raised him alone. Me who had worked until my body broke to give him an education. To give him opportunities. So he could be someone in life. And this woman who arrived when he was already made, when he was already a successful man. This woman called me old and wished I would leave. The rage returned. Hot, burning, but I held it back. I saved it for later. For the right moment. I received the final report a week before Christmas. It was thick. 50 pages, photos, videos, transcripts of conversations, detailed timeline, everything organized, everything documented, everything irrefutable. I paid him the last $1,000. I was left with less than $200 in my account, but it was worth it. Every penny was worth it. I printed copies of everything. I made a digital backup. I gave it to Betty. I kept the originals in my manila folder. Then I prepared a presentation. I didn't know much about technology, but I learned. I watched videos on the internet. I asked for help at the library. I managed to make a simple slideshow on the computer. With the photos, with the videos, with the dates, with everything. I saved it on a USB drive. I tested it 3 times to make sure it worked. On Christmas Day, I woke up early. I bathed. I got ready. I put on my best clothes, the olive green dress, the good shoes, a pearl necklace that had been my mother's. I applied makeup carefully. I did my hair. I looked in the mirror. The woman looking back was no longer the same one who had cried alone on her birthday. She wasn't the same one who accepted crumbs and humiliations. She was someone new, someone stronger, someone who was ready to fight. I put the manila folder in my bag, the USB drive in my coat pocket. I left the extra copies with Betty. "Ready?" she asked when she came to pick me up. "Ready?" We drove toward Liam's house in silence. My heart was beating fast, but my hands weren't shaking. I was nervous, but I was also sure. Tonight everything would change. Tonight the truth would come to light. Tonight Victoria would pay for every lie, for every betrayal, for every tear she had made me shed. We arrived at 7 o'clock sharp. The house was lit up. Christmas decorations everywhere. Music playing from inside. Laughter. Voices. I knocked on the door. I took a deep breath. It was time. Victoria opened the door with a perfect smile. She wore a bright red dress that fit her as if it had been made for her. Her hair loose in waves. Impeccable makeup. Gold earrings that probably cost more than 3 months of my rent. "Eleanor." "Betty. So good you made it. Come in. Come in." Her voice was sweet, warm, as if I were her favorite guest. As if she didn't hate me. As if she hadn't spent years sabotaging my relationship with my own son. We entered. The house smelled of pine and cinnamon. The Christmas tree was huge. White lights. Gold ornaments. Perfectly wrapped gifts underneath. Everything out of a home decor magazine. Everyone was in the living room. Liam talking to an uncle. My sisters Margaret and Susan sitting on the sofa. The kids running around with new toys. Other relatives I hadn't seen in months. Everyone dressed elegantly. Everyone smiling. "Mom, you made it." Liam came toward me. He hugged me. "Merry Christmas." "Merry Christmas, son." He greeted me with that quick hug he always gave me. The obligation hug. The hug you give because you have to, not because you feel it. "Betty, what a surprise to see you here." He extended his hand to her. "Eleanor invited me. I hope I'm not a bother." "Not at all. The more the merrier." Victoria appeared with 2 glasses of wine. "For you two. Dinner will be ready in an hour." I took the glass. I didn't drink it. I just held it. I needed to keep my mind clear. I needed to remain alert. I sat in a chair near the tree. Betty sat next to me. I observed everything, everyone. Victoria playing the perfect hostess, offering drinks, arranging napkins, laughing with the guests, touching Liam's arm with that familiarity of a devoted wife. Liam watching her with admiration, with love, having no idea that this woman was betraying him, not knowing she met with another man twice a week, not knowing she called him boring, my sisters chatting calmly, not knowing their birthday cards never arrived because Victoria had thrown them in the trash, the kids playing innocently, not understanding that their mother was a liar, and me, sitting there with my purse on my lap, with the manila folder inside, with the USB drive in my pocket, with the weight of the truth pressing on my chest. The hour passed slowly. Superficial conversations, forced laughter, carols in the background. It was all so normal, so ordinary, as if this were just another Christmas. But it wasn't. Finally, Victoria announced that dinner was ready. We moved to the dining room. The table was long. It was decorated with red candles, porcelain plates, crystal goblets, silverware. Everything perfect. Everything planned. Everything a lie. Victoria had placed place cards with names at each spot. I was in a corner, far from Liam, far from the kids. In the least important spot at the table, Betty was next to me. She squeezed my hand under the table. "When?" she whispered. "After dinner. Before dessert." We ate turkey, mashed potatoes, roasted vegetables, rolls, everything delicious, everything prepared by Victoria, who received compliments from everyone. "It's exquisite." "Victoria, you're an incredible chef. Liam is very lucky." She smiled modestly. Thanked them. Played her role to perfection. Liam looked at her with pride, poured her more wine, wiped a crumb from her dress. The perfect husband, the man in love, the fool who didn't see what was in front of him. My stomach was tied in knots, but I ate. Because I needed to appear normal. I needed no one to suspect until the moment came. Dinner ended. Victoria started clearing plates. "Let me help you," Margaret offered. No, you are my guests. I'll take care of it. At least let us take something to the kitchen." "Well, if you insist." Several women stood up. They carried plates, silverware, glasses. I remained seated. Betty too. Liam was chatting with a cousin about football. The kids had gone back to their toys in the living room. The moment was slipping away. Soon they would bring dessert. Soon the night would end. Soon everyone would go home. It had to be now. I stood up. I took my purse from under the chair. I walked toward the living room where the big television was, the one they used to watch movies. "Liam," I said with a clear voice, clearer than I had heard myself in years. "I need to show everyone something." He stopped talking. He looked at me confused. "Now, Mom? Victoria is going to bring dessert. Now." Something in my tone made everyone go quiet. The conversations died. Those who were in the kitchen returned to the dining room. Victoria appeared in the doorway, drying her hands with a cloth. "What's wrong?" "Sit down, everyone, please," I said. No one moved. They just looked at me. "Please," I repeated. "It's important." Slowly, everyone started taking seats. In the dining room, in the living room, wherever they fit. The kids were taken to another room by an aunt. It was better they didn't see this. I took the USB drive out of my pocket. I approached the television. I looked for the port. I plugged it in. My hands were shaking slightly, but I managed to do it. Mom, what are you doing? Liam had stood up. He sounded worried. Maybe he thought I had gone crazy. Showing you the truth, son. The screen turned on. The first image appeared. A photo of the mail receipts. Enlarged. Clear. With the visible signatures. Last October, I celebrated my 70th birthday. I sent 15 invitations to the family. No one came. No one called. I spent that day completely alone. There were murmurs. Margaret looked at me with guilt in her eyes. Eleanor. I never received. I know. Because someone intercepted all the envelopes. Someone signed for them and then hid them, destroyed them, so that none of you would know about my party. I moved to the next image. Another photo of the receipt. Then another, all showing the same signature. V. Miller. Victoria Miller. Liam turned toward his wife. She was pale. So pale the makeup looked like a mask on her face. Victoria, what is this? Liam, I can explain. Explain what? My voice cut the air. Explain why you sabotaged my birthday? Explain why you have spent years distancing my son from me? I moved to the next series of photos. The detectives. Victoria in the cafe. Victoria with the man, holding hands, smiling, kissing. The silence that fell over the room was absolute, as if the air itself had frozen. These photos were taken last month. And the one before. And the one before that. Your wife has been meeting with this man twice a week for months. More photos. Short videos. Victoria and the man entering a hotel. Leaving. His hand on her waist. Her laugh. Her complicity. Liam looked at the screen as if he couldn't process what he was seeing. His face had lost all color. His hands hung at his sides. His mouth was slightly open. No, he murmured. No, this can't be real. It is real, son. I hired a private investigator. I paid $2,000. I didn't have to discover the truth. And this is the truth. Victoria had started to cry, tears running down her cheeks. But this time they were tears of panic, of desperation, of someone who has been caught with no possible escape. Liam, please, let me explain. It's not what it looks like. It's not what it looks like? Liam's voice came out broken. Wait, I see you kissing another man and it's not what it looks like? It was a mistake. I was confused. You're never home. Always working. I felt lonely. And that's why you did this? That's why you ruined my mother's birthday? I switched to the audio. I turned up the volume. Victoria's voice came out clear from the speakers. And on top of that, I have to deal with his mother. That old hag doesn't get that she is no longer part of our lives. She keeps insisting. She keeps calling. I'm sick of her. I wish she would just die or leave us alone. The room exploded. Margaret stood up screaming. Susan put her hands over her mouth. Uncles murmured in disbelief. Betty squeezed my shoulder. And Liam. Liam looked at his wife as if she were a stranger. As if all these years he had been married to a stranger and was just now seeing her for the first time. That's what you think of my mother? That's what you've thought this whole time? Victoria reached out her hands toward him. Desperate. Pleading. Liam. I was angry. It wasn't serious. I didn't. How many times, Victoria? How many times have you intercepted mail? How many times have you lied? How many excuses have you invented to keep me away from my mother? She didn't answer. She just cried, shook. Her perfect world was crumbling in front of everyone. And I was still there, standing next to the television, holding the remote, watching the truth do its work. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel revenge. I only felt a cold void where pain had been before. Victoria fell to her knees in the middle of the living room. Her sobs filled the silence the recording had left. Her perfect makeup had run in black lines down her cheeks. The red dress she had shown off so much now seemed like a mockery, a torn costume. Liam, please, please, forgive me. It was a mistake. Many mistakes. But I love you. I love our family. Liam backed away when she tried to touch his leg. He looked at her with a mix of repulsion and pain I had never seen in my son. Not even when his father died. Don't touch me. His voice was pure ice. Hard. Cutting. I moved to the next series of images. More evidence. Photos of Victoria throwing envelopes in dumpsters. Dates, times, everything documented. This wasn't just my birthday, I continued. My voice sounded strangely calm, as if I were reading a weather report. For years, she has been intercepting everything I sent. Cards for the kids, letters for Liam, invitations to family events. I showed photos of the envelopes recovered from the dumpster. Some still sealed, unopened, thrown away like trash. Margaret rose from her seat. She walked toward Victoria. For a moment I thought she was going to slap her, but she just stood looking down at her. 2 years ago I asked you why Eleanor hadn't come to my anniversary wedding. You told me she was sick, that you had spoken to her. Margaret, you lied. She never knew about that celebration. Did she? Victoria didn't answer. She just kept crying. But they were empty tears now. No one felt pity for her. Everyone had seen the truth. How long? Liam asked. He was still standing in the same spot, like a statue, as if moving would break him. How long have you been with that man? 6 months. 6 months. His voice rose. He wasn't shouting yet, but he was close. Very close. 6 months, and me knowing nothing, while I worked like an idiot to maintain this house, to give you everything you wanted. You were never here. Always work. Always meetings. Always trips. I felt invisible. And my mother made you feel invisible too. Is that why you pushed her away? Is that why you ruined her birthday? Victoria looked up at me. There was hate in her eyes now. She wasn't pretending anymore. She wasn't acting anymore. The mask had fallen completely. Yes, I did it, because she was always between us, always wanting your attention, always calling, always needing something. It was exhausting. She was my mother. She was a burden. The scream came out of her throat like a wounded animal. She stood up stumbling. The alcohol she had drunk during dinner didn't help. She pointed at me with a trembling finger. You never understood your place. You weren't needed anymore. Liam had a new family. He had a wife. He had children. But no, you were still there, calling, insisting, making him feel guilty. Victoria, shut up. Liam took a step toward her. His voice was a warning, but she didn't shut up. The poison she had kept for years was now coming out uncontrollably. Why did I have to include you in everything? Why did the kids have to spend time with you? What were you going to teach them? To be poor? To settle for crumbs? Susan stood up abruptly. Her chair scraped against the floor. That's enough. Shut up. Why? Why should I shut up now? Everything is out. I've been caught. Then let me tell the whole truth. She turned toward Liam. She swayed slightly, tears and rage mixing on her face. I made you better. I took you out of that mediocre mentality. I taught you to live well, to dress well, to associate with important people. And yes, for that I needed to distance you from her poverty, from her problems, from her constant need. Liam closed his eyes, breathed deep. When he opened them, there was something broken there, something that perhaps would never be fixed. Get out of my house, Liam. Get out of my house. Where am I going to go? This is my house too. I'm your wife. Not anymore. Tomorrow morning I'm talking to a lawyer. I want a divorce. Victoria let out a hysterical laugh, sharp, full of desperation. Divorce? Why? For some photos? For some envelopes? For defending what we built? For lying? For cheating? For being cruel to my mother? For stealing years I could have spent with her? You didn't want to spend time with her. I just gave you an excuse not to. The hit was low, accurate. I saw how Liam recoiled as if the words were physical. Because there was some truth there, something that hurt. He had also chosen distance. He had also accepted the excuses too easily. He was also guilty of his own estrangement. But this wasn't the moment for that. This was Victoria's moment, of her fall, of her exposure. I'm going to tell everyone about your business. Victoria spat the words with venom. About the money you hid, about the taxes you didn't pay, shut up. Liam's voice was dangerous now. Don't you dare. Okay. You already ruined me in front of everyone. What else can you do to me? I can take the kids. That stopped her. The color disappeared from her face. The words died in her throat. No, you can't do that. Of course I can. I have proof of your infidelity. I have proof of your manipulation. No judge would give you full custody. They are my children. They are our children. And I'm not going to let them grow up learning to lie like you. Victoria stumbled, looked for support on the wall. Her world wasn't just crumbling. It was burning down. Liam, please. Not the kids. You can hate me. You can divorce me. But don't take my children. You should have thought about them before sleeping with another man. The guests watched the scene in silence, uncomfortable. Some with pity, others with satisfaction. The dysfunctional family exposed in all its glory. I was still standing next to the television. I had accomplished my mission. The truth was exposed. Everyone had seen. Everyone knew. But I didn't feel the victory I had imagined. I only felt tiredness. A deep tiredness that went to the bone. This is your fault. Victoria pointed at me again, her eyes bloodshot. You destroyed my marriage. You put your poison in. You. I only showed the truth. My voice came out firm, clear. You destroyed your own marriage. I just pulled back the curtain. You're a bitter old woman who can't stand seeing her son happy. No. I am a mother who is willing to pay $2,000 she didn't have to discover why her son had abandoned her. And now I know. It wasn't him. It was you. I walked toward Liam. I put my hand on his arm. He didn't pull away. For the first time in years, he didn't pull away. Son, I'm sorry you had to find out like this. I'm sorry for ruining your Christmas. But I needed to know the truth. He looked at me with glassy eyes. There were tears there, held back, fighting to come out. Mom, I didn't know. I never suspected that she. I know. She was very good at lying. The years we lost. The times I didn't call you. The times I didn't go see you. It's not your fault. Yes, it is. I chose to believe her. I chose the ease of her excuses. He broke. Finally, he broke. Tears fell. Soaps came out. My son. My little boy. Crying like I hadn't seen him cry since he was a child. I hugged him, tight, like I used to do when he had nightmares, when he fell and scraped his knees, when the world was too big and scary. I'm here, son. I have always been here, and I'm always going to be here. He clung to me, like a castaway to a life raft, and I let him cry. I let him get out all the pain, all the betrayal, all the confusion. Behind us, Victoria was still standing, alone, abandoned, exposed. No one looked at her with sympathy. No one approached to console her. She had dug her own grave, and now she was falling into it. I want you to leave tonight. Liam separated from me. He wiped his tears with the back of his hand. Pack what you need. I'll come for the rest of your things tomorrow. Where am I going to go? I don't care. Call your lover. Call your parents. But you're not staying here, Liam. Now. Go now. She looked around looking for support, looking for an ally, but everyone looked away. No one was going to help her. No one was going to defend her. She went up the stairs dragging her feet. We heard her moving on the second floor, drawers opening, doors closing. The sound of a life falling apart. 20 minutes later she came down with a suitcase, her makeup still runny, her dress wrinkled, her hair messy. She was no longer the perfect hostess. She was just a broken woman who had lost everything. She passed by me without looking at me. She opened the door. The cold night entered the house. She stopped at the threshold. I hope you're happy, she said without turning. I hope this was worth it. It's not about happiness, I responded. It's about justice. She left. The door closed behind her. The sound of her car starting, driving away, disappearing into the night. And then the house was left in silence. A different silence than before. Not heavy, not uncomfortable, just empty. The guests began to say goodbye, one by one, with awkward hugs, with promises to call, with looks that said more than words. Finally, Only Liam, the kids sleeping upstairs, Betty and I remained. Liam let himself fall onto the sofa with his hands over his face. The house was quiet. The Christmas decorations that before seemed joyful now looked out of place. Mocking, the dirty plates were still in the dining room. The half-finished glasses, the crumpled napkins, the remains of a celebration that never finished. I sat next to him. Betty remained standing near the door, giving us space but without leaving. Just in case. "When did you start to suspect?" Liam asked, without moving his hands from his face. "After my birthday, when you called saying you hadn't received the invitation, and you hired a detective." "Yes? How much did it cost you?" $2,000. He finally lowered his hands. He looked at me with red and swollen eyes. "Mom, you don't have $2,000. I took it from my savings. But those were for emergencies. For medicine. For..." This was an emergency. "Son, I was losing my family. I was losing my only son." He closed his eyes. A solitary tear rolled down his cheek. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Mom, I should have seen it. I should have questioned more. I should have." "Don't blame yourself. She was very good at what she did. But I'm your son. I'm supposed to protect you, take care of you. And instead I abandoned you. You didn't abandon me. She manipulated you. There is a difference." Liam shook his head. He stood up and walked toward the window. He looked at the dark street where Victoria had gone. How did I not see it? All those years. All those excuses. How was I so blind? Why did you trust? Why did you love? That doesn't make you stupid. It makes you human. It makes me an idiot. His voice came out bitter. An idiot who believed everything she said, who never questioned anything. He turned toward me. "The times I canceled visits. The times I didn't answer your calls. The times I said I was too busy. It's over, Liam." "No, it's not over. We lost years, Mom. Years we can't get back. The kids barely know you. I barely call you. This house that is so big never had space for you. Now it will." He let out a humorless laugh. "I don't know if I want this house anymore. Everything here reminds me of her lies, of my stupidity." I walked toward him. I took his hands in mine. They were cold, trembling. "You're going to get over it. You're going to heal, and I'm going to be here to help you. After everything I did to you, after how I treated you, you're my son. You're always going to be my son, no matter what." He hugged me. Hard, desperate, as if I were the only solid thing in a world that was crumbling. We stayed like that for a long while, mother and son, reconnecting, healing, starting over. When he finally separated, he had a calmer expression. Still hurt, still confused, but firmer. "I'm going to make things right, Mom. I'm going to make up for lost time. You don't have to make up for anything. Just be present from now on." "I will be. I promise." He looked toward the stairs where the kids slept. "I have to tell them something. Tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to explain to them that their mother left. You'll tell them the truth, adapted to their age. But the truth, they're going to be devastated. They're going to be confused, but you're going to be there for them. And so will I." He nodded, took a deep breath. "The divorce is going to be ugly, isn't it?" "Probably. She's going to fight for everything. For the house, for the money, for the kids. But you have the proof. The detective, the photos, the recordings. Would you give me copies of everything?" "I already gave copies to my lawyer this morning." Liam looked at me surprised. "You hired a lawyer. I hired the best family lawyer in the city. The consultation cost me another $500. But he said with this evidence, the case is solid. Mom, you've spent your whole life defending me, even now. That is what mothers do." Betty approached from her spot by the door. "Eleanor, we should go. It's late." I looked at the clock. It was past midnight. Christmas had ended in the worst way possible. Or maybe in the best, depending on how you looked at it. "Will you be okay?" I asked Liam. "No, but I'm going to try. Call me tomorrow." "I will." "In the morning. Before speaking with the kids. Do you want me to come?" to help you with them. Would you do that? Of course. For the first time in the night, he smiled, a small smile, sad but real. Thanks, Mom, for everything, for not giving up, for fighting, for showing me the truth even though it hurt. I will always fight for you, son. Always. We hugged once more. Then Betty and I went out into the cold night. The car was freezing. We sat in silence while the engine warmed up. Finally, Betty spoke. How do you feel? Tired? Regretful? No, it was brutal, Eleanor. What you did in there. I know. But it was necessary. I know. She drove slowly through the empty streets. The Christmas lights on the houses shone in the darkness. Happy families. Normal celebrations. Lives that hadn't fallen apart tonight. And now what? Betty asked. Now we rebuild, Liam and I. Little by little. Do you think it will work? It has to work. We already lost too much time. We arrived at my building. Betty turned off the engine. Do you want me to come up with you? No. I'll be fine. Sure? Sure. She hugged me before I got out. You are the bravest woman I know. Or the most vengeful. No. Vengeance would have been exposing her on social media. This was justice. I went up to my apartment. I turned on the light. Everything was as I had left it. Clean. Tidy. Silent. I took off my shoes. The dress. The necklace. I put on my pajamas. I washed my face in front of the mirror. The woman looking back at me looked different. Not younger. Not happier. Just lighter. As if a weight I had been carrying for years had finally been lifted. I got into bed, turned off the light, closed my eyes, and for the first time in months, I slept through the night without waking up, without nightmares, without tears, because I had done what I had to do. I had spoken my truth. I had fought my battle. And I had won. I woke up with the sun coming through the window. It was December 26th, the day after Christmas, the day after my life changed forever. I lay there staring at the ceiling, waiting to feel something. Remorse maybe, guilt, regret for having destroyed a marriage, for having exposed Victoria in front of everyone. But I felt none of that, just a deep calm, a peace I hadn't experienced in years. I got up, made coffee, sat by the window with the hot mug in my hands. The city looked quiet. People walking with their new gifts, kids playing in the streets, normal life continuing as if nothing had happened. But for me, everything had happened. Everything had changed. My phone rang at 9 in the morning. It was Liam. Mom, can you come? The kids woke up asking for their mother. I'm on my way. I dressed quickly. Jeans, simple sweater, comfortable shoes. I took my purse and left. The drive to his house felt different this time. I wasn't going as the forgotten guest. I wasn't going as the tolerated mother-in-law. I was going as the grandmother, as the mother, as part of the family. Liam opened the door before I knocked. He had deep circles under his eyes, wrinkled clothes, messy hair. He looked like someone who hadn't slept at all. Thanks for coming. Always, son. We entered. The house was still in disarray from the night before. Dirty dishes, fallen decorations. The Christmas tree seemed sad in the daylight. The kids were in the living room. Mason, 8 years old. Caleb, 6. Both in pajamas. Both with confused and scared faces. Grandma, Mason said when he saw me, where is Mom? I sat on the sofa between them. I hugged them. They smelled like kid shampoo and clean sheets. Your mom had to go away for a while. Why? I looked at Liam. He nodded. Go ahead. Tell them. Because sometimes adults make mistakes. And your mom made some mistakes that hurt a lot of people. Did she hurt you, Grandma? Caleb asked with his little voice. Yes, my love. She hurt me a lot. Is that why you don't come visit us? I felt as if something compressed in my chest. Yes, that's why. That's bad, said Mason. Mom was mean to you. She made bad decisions. But that doesn't mean she doesn't love you guys. Is she coming back? Caleb asked. Liam sat in front of us. He took his children's hands. I don't know, champ. But what I do know is that I'm going to be here. And your grandma too. And we're going to be okay, the three of us together. The four of us, said Mason. With Grandma, it's four. Liam looked at me. He smiled. A true smile this time. Yes, the four of us. We spent the day cleaning together, picking up plates, putting away decorations. The kids helped however they could. They asked things. They cried at times, laughed at times, processing everything in their own way. I made lunch. Chicken soup. Toast. Simple and comforting things. We ate in the kitchen, without the formal dining table, without pretenses, just family. Afterward, the kids went to play with their Christmas gifts. Liam and I stayed in the kitchen drinking coffee. The lawyer comes tomorrow, he said, to start the divorce papers. How do you feel? Like I woke up from a long dream. Or a nightmare. I'm not sure which. Both, probably. Mom, I need to ask you something. Anything. Why did you wait so long? Why didn't you tell me what was happening sooner? I took a sip of coffee. I thought about my answer well. Because I didn't have proof. And because I knew you wouldn't believe me without it. You loved Victoria. You trusted her. My word against hers wouldn't have been enough. I should have believed you anyway. No, I did right by waiting. By gathering evidence. By doing this the right way. The right way was destroying my marriage on Christmas in front of the whole family. The right way was showing you the truth when the most people could see it, so that no one could say you were exaggerating, so that no one could convince you to go back. She nodded slowly. You are smarter than I thought. I'm your mother. I've always been smart. We laughed. A small, tired laugh, but a laugh nonetheless. The following days were difficult. Victoria tried to come back. She begged, cried, threatened, but Liam didn't yield. The divorce papers were filed. The legal battle began. But I didn't stay on the sidelines watching. I moved temporarily into Liam's house, to help with the kids, to cook, to clean, to be present in the way I hadn't been able to be for years. The kids got used to seeing me every morning, eating breakfast with me, telling me about their day, asking me for help with homework. And I got used to being a real grandmother. Not the occasional visit, not the stranger at parties, the grandmother who was there. Constant, present, loved. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. Liam got primary custody. Victoria had supervised visits on weekends. The house remained his. The savings were divided. She left with her lover. They moved to another city. Liam asked me if I wanted to stay living with them permanently. No, son. You need your space. You need to rebuild your life without me being there all the time. But you help me so much. The kids adore you, and I adore them. But I have my own life too. Your small apartment, it is my home. At least let me buy you a better one. Bigger, in a better neighborhood. I don't need better. I need what I have. But I did accept something. A monthly allowance. $500 a month. To pay back what I had spent on the detective. To live more comfortably. To not have to worry so much. At first I refused, but Liam insisted. Mom, let me do this. Let me take care of you, like I should have always taken care of you. And I accepted. Not because I needed it, but because he needed to give it. Now I visit 3 times a week. Tuesdays to help with homework. Thursdays to cook. Sundays to have lunch together. Liam calls me every day. Just to talk. To ask how I am. To tell me about his day. The kids send me drawings. Write me little letters. Tell me I love you, Grandma, without anyone forcing them. And Victoria was left behind. A shadow. A bad memory. A lesson learned. Today is my 71st birthday. Liam organized a party. At his house. With the whole family. My sisters. Cousins. Friends. Betty in a place of honor. There is cake. There are gifts. There are sincere hugs. There is true laughter. They stand me in front of the cake. Put the candles on. Everyone sings. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Eleanor. Happy birthday to you. I blow out the candles. I don't make a wish. I no longer need to wish for anything. because everything I needed is here. My son, my grandchildren, my family, my dignity recovered. Liam hugs me tight. Happy birthday, Mom. I love you. I love you too, son. I sit on the sofa. Mason sits to my right, Caleb to my left. They show me their new toys, tell me bad jokes, fill me with unconditional love. And I think about that Christmas night, about the photos, about the tears, about the confrontation. I don't regret anything. My silence wasn't weakness. It was the patience of someone who knows how to wait for the exact moment. It was the strategy of someone who understands that the truth always wins. It was the strength of someone willing to fight for what she loves. I am no longer the woman who cried alone in her apartment. I am no longer the forgotten mother. I am no longer the invisible grandmother. I am Eleanor Miller, 71 years old, mother, grandmother, survivor, fighter. My name no longer carries the weight of the pain others put on me. My story is no longer written by hands that wanted to erase me. Now my life belongs to me, and it is just beginning.